When a mad genius turns a miracle drug into a death sentence, the Lazarus team are humanity's only hope.
Are you actually enjoying this?
Is that obvious?
Find a cure or die trying.
Who the hell are those people?
We call ourselves Lazarus.
Let's raise some hell.
From anime legend Shinichiro Watanabe, Lazarus premieres April 5th at midnight in Toonami. Next day on Max. On the next episode of Common Side Effects.
Harrington, who are we actually working for?
Buddy, I don't think your head is screwed on straight.
Excuse me?
I'm worried about you and your choices. They're not healthy or wise for either of our careers.
Career? Is that what this is about to you? What about the truth?
Common Side Effects. New episode next Sunday at 11:30 on Adult Swim. Next day on Max.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy, on March 13th of 2025. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy. And I might be coughing a little bit, so please don't get upset over that.
Okay, yes. And Well, I guess we can just get right into it because this is our podcast where we talk about anime and Toonami and some other things. Let's see. I don't think we have any new news when it comes to Toonami. I think we've still got Lazarus coming at some point. I can't remember exactly when, but I know it's coming up. It's coming up soon-ish. So once again, hopefully that'll be decent. Yeah, I mean, the guy did make some decent series like Cowboy Bebop, so it's actually funny. When I was looking over things he worked on, is it Shinichiro Watanabe or is it? I need to make sure I'm saying the right one because it's. Let's see. Yes, it's Shinichiro Watanabe. I keep getting him mixed up with Shinichi Watanabe, their names. So I was gonna mention that. It looked like he was involved with Michiko and Hachin, which I know you really hated. But then I looked and saw, he was the music producer for it. That was all.
Yeah, the music was really good.
It was the one thing you actually liked about that show.
Yep. Yeah, I love the music.
Okay. So, yeah. But we'll get to that when we get to it, I guess. So, we'll start out with the Toonami stuff. So, we've got Blue Exorcist, episode 17, or basically, as they say, I think the last before it just goes completely into filler. Okay, So basically, Ringo manages to beat the whatever his name is. He goes through some training things in order to try to learn to control the flames, and I guess his friends are like maybe a little more dubious about him. Other than that, I mean, as a result of finding out, he's son of Satan and was keeping it from us. Let's see. Right, and then they just kind of get attacked by something at the end, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that's basically the episode, I think.
Yep. So, we're getting close to the point where it just goes off on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what in this episode to believe and not to believe. Is it really happening? I don't know.
Well, some of the stuff, because I tried to look into it, some of the stuff is indeed from the manga. Like the part where he's supposed to train with like using those 3 candles, and then he accidentally does something that just makes all their that makes the that makes the people who's with him like clothes burn off for some fan service stuff.
Right, fan service.
Yeah, that was there. That was there in the manga. That bit, although they changed it a little bit because there's a part where, dang, I cannot. I'm being an idiot and cannot remember anyone's names for some reason. I can remember Rin, and for some reason everyone. Okay, Yukio. Yukio. What's
are you thinking of?
The girl, the one who joined in.
Shura.
Sure. That I think that was it. Right. Because there was a conversation between her and Yukio where Yukio is saying. Where they were saying something about how he's always seeing doctors to make sure that that the power of Satan or whatever doesn't get too far into him, and you see this weird sort of blotch on him that's treated ominously, which if I remember correctly is a plot point that did not seem to be in the manga, for example. So they added stuff in that, although that scene as a whole was in the original, they added some stuff to it, and there's some other things that were different. Basically. Like I said, this episode has stuff that's actually from the manga. It changes a bunch of stuff, and going forward, it's all original material.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. That's sort of like, hey, we're catching up to the manga, so rather than just take a break or whatever, we'll go and make up our own ending. That seemed like it was way more popular in the past, and they don't seem to do it much anymore. Because they did it with, let's see, they did it with Full Metal Alchemist, famously. They did it with Akame ga Kill. They did it with this series. They did it with Soul Eater. There was
Tokyo Ghoul.
Tokyo Ghoul, yeah, that too. And I'm sure there's some other examples offhand, but it seemed like that was done, and they've kind of stopped it, except for where they decided to do it in the Promised Neverland for some reason, which is one of the weirdest decisions, because the manga was finished. They didn't have to worry about catching up to it when they got to season 2. They just decided, well, let's just speed run everything crazy much, and so we can reach an ending in the second season. I'm like, well, that was a decision of someone. I don't know why, but that was like the last one I remember them actually doing that. Everything else, it seems like, okay, well, we'll just end the season here. It won't be the end of the story, and if this is popular, we'll come back for it later. So anyway, I guess it'll be interesting now that we actually know exactly when it's starting, and we can see, hey, does this like get way worse or as a result of this? I am kind of curious though, because I have not been keeping up with Blue Exorcist the manga much at all. I'm wondering, is this going to be? Is this like Full Metal Alchemist, where it just goes completely off in its own direction, like completely, or is this going to be more like a Akame ga Kill, where it's obvious they at least got some notes from the author and therefore followed the broad strokes of it, even if a lot of the specifics were rather different. So, anyway, I guess maybe we can look more back on that when we finish the season. But it's interesting to just be going into it knowing, none of this stuff that comes next is going to actually matter.
Yeah. Of course, we may never get that season 2 on Toonami anyway, so we'll have to stick with what we got as.
Because they did keep continuing there's like a new season of the Blue Exorcist anime coming up soon, I think. So they're still adapting, and it's still continuing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But will we get it on Toonami? That's the question.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got how many episodes left? Yeah, let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8, so that's 2 months until we find out whether we're going to move on to season 2 or not. It would have been funny if they had just, well, it would have been funny if they had just skipped these last 2 sort of like the last few episodes were in the sort of semi-canon territory. It would have been kind of funny if when airing it, they just decided, okay, we will not air those. We will just skip straight to season 2 where it actually continues it. Okay. So after that, we move on to One Piece episodes 707 and 708. So basically a bunch of people fight other people. That really is basically these 2 episodes in a nutshell. It shows a bunch of people fighting and they fight different people. Mostly Law and Doflamingo and Zoro versus Pika. So let's see what's some stuff, important stuff can I remember within that? Well, we do have, right, Law gets his arm chopped off, but well, it's a good thing he's one of the characters who can actually heal that sort of thing.
Because of the op fruit?
Yeah. Which lets him, control like anything within like a certain area. So he can just attach it back to himself. I think theoretically, yeah, you can do that for other people also. So it does make you think, yeah, he really could just cure all sorts of stuff. So it's like how when you get down, it lets you like do more stuff like this. It's like how JoJo, like way more violent stuff happened to characters when they're after like in the seasons where they actually had like a healer on hand. Because they could just reverse it. It's also why in Diamond is Unbreakable, horrible things like these like mutilation stuff happened to everyone except Josuke, because the rule of his stand is he can basically heal everyone else but not himself. So he gets spared all of that because he can't do it to himself. All right. I don't really.
And Luffy was giving those rapid fire punches, and I always like to note that those never work in anything except for JoJo. So
yeah,
JoJo, they work great, but everything else, rapid fire punches don't do a whole lot of good.
Yeah, suddenly that makes me think, is there any exceptions other than JoJo that I can think of? I feel like there was probably some. I feel like I'm trying to think of something. There's some panel where we saw something like that happening, but yeah, it seems to mostly just be JoJo. There might have been 1 or 2 cases, I think, in One Piece where Luffy did it, but yeah, for the most part, rapid fire punching doesn't really help that much.
Yeah.
And that's it for our Toonami series, so we'll move on to the other ones. Alright, we got Yu Yu Hakusho, episode 45. So Yusuke's still struggling with the whole spirit orb thing, and Genkai decides, maybe you're too young for this, and takes it out of him. But then she's like, no, and then puts it back and go through the suffering again. So because he still wants to get stronger. All right. Meanwhile, we cut back to the fights. Hiei's going up against Kuro Momotaro. What it was, and that's a name. I'll say why that's important in a moment. So that guy now has the ability to, when he gets hit with a technique, he's able to gain resistance to it. So Hiei does a bunch of stuff to him, and well, he just keeps surviving it and then gaining the immunity to it. And yep, that was basically the episode. And I wanted to mention, because the dub kind of like skips over this, but I should note that the guys on the opposing team, they're all, or at least almost all of them, supposed to be characters or like references to sort of Japanese folk tales. Like Momotaro was is a sort of famous one in Japanese. So that's like the Peach Boy, And I mentioned that most especially because there's a part where the ogre, who's with Koenma, mentions like, that guy, he attacked my ancestors. And that's a reference to that story. But otherwise, if you don't know that, you'll just think, oh, I guess he just attacked the ogre's ancestors? Okay. It doesn't really, this information doesn't really matter too much, I guess, but I figured I might as well just throw it out as an interesting bit of trivia.
Yeah.
So I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It was okay. It wasn't bad, but not very memorable of an episode. So, yeah.
I do wonder, though, I know this is so common in anime, but so the guy's power, once again, is he can, when he gets, he gains immunity to attacks he's suffered. Fine. But he tells his opponent that. So why say that? Why not just, keep him guessing as to what's going on? Because here's what here's what has a high chance of happening. Hiei will manage to go through it because of that information that he was given, and he didn't have to try to figure it out. Now, granted, you could have just figured it out himself. You could think, so he gains immunity against it, so fine. But it is a little weird that his opponent, in a probably life or death fight, decides to just tell him that.
Yeah. Yeah.
More characters in shonen series should have the restriction on their power be that they have to remember that guy from Hunter x Hunter where the condition of his power was that he had to explain to his enemies how his powers worked. And I
don't remember that.
Oh,
I don't remember that.
It was the guy, the sort of bomber guy from the Greed Island arc. That was the condition that he's set for it, because you can put the requirements on your techniques to make them stronger, and that was what it was. He just has to explain them to his opponent. And I'm thinking, yeah, of course you're going to do that. Everyone does it in this series, so why not? That's not even like a drawback. You're just going to have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So after this, we have Shangri-La Frontier, episode 39. So they basically do a whole bunch of stuff and manage to beat Lycagon, but then it turns out that it wasn't that the Lycagon they were fighting. Yeah, it wasn't the actual Lycagon. They just beat the shadow thing, but it gives them, but it does give them it counts as them defeating the shadow one, so they all get a new quest or something based on it. Sunraku's all excited about the fact that it looks like, because his scars start the scar. I don't know if they're scars or. Was it scars or was it actually some liquid he got splashed with? Whatever. The thing that Lycagon hit him with early on that makes it so he can't wear armor. And they're glowing and he gets all excited. He's like, yeah, maybe this will disappear and I can wear armor again. And then just a giant Lycagon cartoon head shows up and eats him. And then the episode just kind of abruptly ends.
Yeah, to be honest, I was still kind of bored with this one. The second season hasn't lived up to the hype of the first one. There were a few good moments, but overall, it just feels like a guy playing a video game and you're watching him. And that's all there is to it. There's no real, interactions between real people except for Ray and Ray, having that crush on him. Is Ray's name spelled the same way as Ray Ayanami?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I I forget what the name of the guy who's a girl is, but I remember. Obviously, I remember Pencil Gone. I don't remember the other person's name, but those two characters like have been missing in action for like the whole season, pretty much. So I want to see those characters again because we spent a long time uh, on those characters, and they need to, well, they need to have more screen time, because we got to know them, and now they just aren't here. So I don't know. I just don't find it interesting when it's just Sun Raku. It's like, okay, I got to beat a boss. It's like, well, that's great, but um, like Sword Art Online, there was a line in there one time wherever someone said, no one likes to just watch someone else beat a video game, and I thought that was so true. Because watching people play video games isn't nearly as fun as playing them yourself. So anyway, yeah, I think this was kind of mediocre. So yeah.
Well, I do remember. I remember that line. It was the part where Kirito deduces that I can't remember his name, but one of the guys is actually the person in like the first season. When they are all trapped in the game, he managed to figure out that one of the guys is actually the person who trapped them all in there, and he apparently he figures it out because the guy's HP isn't like ever going down much because he just said it so that he wouldn't die. And Kirito said, "Well, yeah, you did it because because it's boring to just watch a bunch of people play the game. You wanted to be part of it." Although I should note that watching people play video games is obviously something plenty of people do because there are people who make a literal living out of that on Twitch. So
I used to watch my friend play Fortnite every single night, and he was nationally ranked. That's how good he was, and he eventually stopped playing Fortnite and stopped streaming altogether. But he was really good at Fortnite, and so yeah, I've watched on Twitch before. I've tried streaming some of my gameplay on the Switch or Twitch before. Probably no one saw it, but I just thought it was cool to put it up there.
Yeah. Okay. Let me actually I'm just going to randomly check on Twitch. Let's see, what's like the most streamed things? Yeah, I'm looking at some, is this, I just don't know if this is like the most, like the individual person with the most streams, but yeah, there's people, you get like 57,000 viewers at the time, so definitely, yeah, like I said, so people can make a living doing this, so it works. I mean, heck, you stop and think about it. Forget video games. Think of how many people watch other people play sports games. Like what's always the most watched thing every year in the US? It's the Super Bowl. It's just watching a bunch of other people play a game. So, as for my thoughts on the episode, yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, it is fighting, but I do kind of like the other characters. Akitsu Akane has kind of grown on me, so yeah, I kind of like that stuff. But still, the best part of the episode was just the wacky, like, just the head just shows up and eats Sun Raku, and that's it. It's just so random, and it's so funny to me. Okay, so Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. I didn't mention it last time. They did change the theme song again for the show. I think this one's pretty.
Uh-huh.
I think this one's pretty good. It's weird because originally first I thought, well, it's good, but I think it's kind of weak compared to the other ones. But then after listening to it a little more, I'm thinking, no, this one's pretty solid. This might be the best one in the series. I think all of the.
No, the best one was Danger, Danger. That one is really good.
It is good.
That is definitely the best one. And the first one wasn't bad either, but Danger, Danger was really good. And it happened to coincide with the best part so far of the series. So that just makes it even better. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all good. It's got a very solid track record of theme songs. The problem I have with Danger, Danger is that the lyric, they say, it's danger, danger. But the way they say it keeps making me sound to me like they're saying stranger danger. Okay. All right, so we'll then move on to, we're done with it now, for now at least. I don't know if they announced a new season or not, but I assume it'll get one. Blue Lock episodes 37 and 38. All right, so basically they, everything... Yeah, basically, I'm trying to... It's weird. I can remember the second episode so well, but not the first one. So, but basically, we end up going into... Reen decides, like, I'm just going to go crazy now, I guess. And he's just running around, like, with his, like, tongue just randomly, flopping out of his mouth and just keeping murder, kill, and, like, literally. And it just decides to do a one-man attack and manages to actually do pretty well, but still doesn't really manage to make the goal ultimate. So then, since it's all tied up, it ends up going into additional time. So we do get confirmation about what I was wondering about whether they would do that if it were tied, and so they do. So basically, Reen decides to try to do stuff like. Right, no. His brother gets the ball and goes past everyone, but it manages to end. But Reen ends up managing to basically kick the ball all the way down to the other side where Isagi's there, and remember that whole discussion they had about luck and stuff last season? Yeah, he just remembered all that, and then he's able to kick it in and score the winning goal, and they win, and that's all big and great for them. And then we get some teaser stuff for the next season also, with what they call like the Neo Egoist League, I guess. So yeah, that was basically it. Yay, Blue Lock wins, and I guess this final episode is what they were. I guess when they were producing it, they suddenly realized, since we cheaped out on the animation so much before, we can actually invest some into this episode.
It wasn't that good, even this one, but. Yeah, I was surprised that Blue Lock won. I was thinking it would end in a draw, and then everyone would go home happy or unhappy or whatever. So I was surprised that Blue Lock actually won this one. And I kind of like the way it ended, because it was like those two guys went all out at each other, and then someone else scored the winning goal. So that's pretty cool. I have to wonder though, this U20 team is terrible on defense. If it can go against a team of 11 strikers and not be able to shut them down, because they actually have real defensive players on their team. They if you've got real defenders back there, you shouldn't be losing to a team that has no defenders. So, uh, yeah, it was an interesting pair of episodes. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't like the animation too much because it felt like there was just people standing still for most of the time. But I enjoyed it and thought it was cool. I liked how they teased what's coming next, although I don't have any clue what they're planning. But yeah, these are some pretty good episodes, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me just double check to see to verify in what I was looking for. Do we have any confirmation? Yeah, there's been no confirmation of a season 3, but the series, despite the animation issues in this season, it's still a pretty popular series. So I think we would get another. So yeah, a pretty solid conclusion to this season, which was even with the setting aside the animation stuff, I don't think this was as good. I don't think I liked this as much as the first season, which is interesting because I remember everyone talking about, oh yeah, the U20 team game. That's one of the best parts of the series. So I don't know if maybe that anime didn't, maybe it wasn't a great adaptation even beyond the animation quality, or maybe I'm just a contrarian. I don't know, but I still enjoyed it. I just don't think I liked it as much as the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to say about the episode or season?
No, I think that it was a pretty good season, and it lived up to expectations, and I don't have any problems with it. So, okay. Well done.
All right. And for anyone who is curious, I guess I just might as well mention, if you want to see what happens next in the manga, you would want to, let's see, right. You start at chapter 180, which is in volume 18. If you want to read, if you're looking for the legal way to read it, it's, there's the physical volumes. It's all the chapters are also on the K manga app, which is actually not all that great of a service, but it's better than it used to be because nowadays you actually can read some more chapters for free. It's just a thing where it's okay, each day you get 5 tickets and you get 1 ticket for each title in addition to that, and 1 possible ticket if you watch an ad, and that's the number of chapters you can read for free. When I'm thinking, okay, so 6 or 7, when you compare that to Manga Plus, where you just get each chapter for free of an ongoing series, that seems not so great, but it's a step in the right direction, I guess. All right. Okay, I think that's everything for Blue Lock then. So we'll be here for the second season, either the third season if it comes back, I guess. And then we've got Hyouka episode 2.
Okay, so this episode is all about a mystery where they have to figure out why a library book is being taken out at the same time every day. And it sounds like such a stupid thing to be interested in, but as the girl always says, she has to know. And so then they figure out that it's in the art club using it as something for their art thing, and that's pretty much it. And then there was a little bit more, but I do not remember very clearly what happened in the second part of the episode, because there didn't seem to be much of a mystery going on there. Just seemed to be slice of life stuff. So yeah, that's. I hope you remember anything better than me about that.
Let's see. Okay, so they have all the mystery stuff, which they went into the library because they were trying to find past anthologies or something that the club had produced. Then at the end, well, what was her? I can't remember the names of characters. Female lead just wants to meet with Hotaro. At least I can remember his name, but for something, and she's like not really saying much, and so he's like thinking, okay, I'm just going to leave if you're not going to. But then she says she has, and then he like makes sarcastically says, I mean, what are you here to try to confess your love for me? And he says, well, she says, I do have something to confess, and yeah, that's it. We have no idea what it was. I assume it's not going to be any declaration of love, but it's going to be something, and that's the cliffhanger, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So not exactly a great episode, I would say.
My question is, they're trying to do all this to figure out the mystery, and I'm thinking, I don't know, why not just ask the next person who, checks it out what they're doing?
Yeah.
But I guess they just wanted the answer right away or something, so although
she had the know.
Yeah. So was that, but yeah, so is this like going to be, I guess, because I went into this not really knowing much about it, but is this just basically a mystery series or something like school mystery, I suppose? Okay.
Yeah, mystery / slice of life.
Okay, because I'm going to be honest, so far these even the mysteries are kind of on the like weaker side. I mean, you read like an Encyclopedia Brown book, and you think, yeah, most of these mysteries are kind of tame, but then, and I'm thinking, oh wow, these are even more tame than that. Some of the Encyclopedia Brown ones were a little more serious, but a lot of them were really just like minor things. So anyway, I think it's kind of a weird series in that I can't really say it's a weird series yet because we're only a second episode, but I guess I'd say it's a little weird in that I thought the episode, it was just kind of weird in that way, but I'd still say I enjoyed it. So I don't know if I'm probably not explaining this well at all, but I'd say, yeah, this was decent. Kind of actually my opinion on most of the stuff we watched this week. I didn't really dislike anything, but I didn't really, there wasn't anything that I thought was great other than, I guess the last episode of Blue Lock was pretty good, which might be spoiling my picks for the winnings of the week. So I guess I'll just move into that. All right, what did I think was the best non-Toonami series? Well, as mentioned, it would be Blue Lock. The best of the two Toonami series, that would be, let me actually that's suddenly a harder one to figure out. Let me think about that briefly. Well, I'll
give mine while you're at it.
I've got it. I'll say,
okay, go ahead.
I'll say Blue Exorcist because it's the one that I can remember better.
Okay, so yeah, Blue Lock was my pick, but One Piece is the pick for Toonami for me. So
okay, yeah, we got. Of course, I had to pick Blue Exorcist and Blue Lock. They both got blue in that title. Have you ever noticed? I've noticed something. It seems that blue is the color of that, like, of series that have colors in them. Blue seems to mostly be kind of successful. Like, look like the series. You got Blue Exorcist. You got Blue Lock. You got, this is an older one, but there's one called Blue Gender. There was, and I'm running out of the other ones. I know there's a whole lot of other anime that's got the word
Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon.
I thought that was Black Lagoon.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Lagoon was like was a movie or something, like not an anime, a live action one. Black Lagoon was what happened, was the anime one. Let me actually just check what's the Blue Box. Blue Box. How did I friggin' forget Blue Box? I'm reading that series and I forgot it. Blue Period. Yeah, that's another one. So yeah, Blue seems to have just a lot of. It seems like you want to have a success. Putting blue in your title is probably going to help you out there. Certainly a lot more than red. There's so many. There's so many failed manga series that have the word red in them, I've noticed. There's this one called Red Hood. There was this one called Red Sprite. There were a whole lot of other ones, but I can't remember what they are offhand. Sorry, if I had known I would be talking about this, I would have written these down ahead of time. But it does seem like blue is just what you put in there to get at least some kind of success. Okay, so I guess that comes to the end of the anime discussion, our regular anime discussion. Anything else to talk about?
Well, I'm still watching Bleach. I have stuck to my New Year's resolution, and I'm still watching an episode every day. We are now currently full-blown Mount arc. And it's starting to show some areas of not being too good. But yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's just not nearly as good as it was in the Soul Society arc. So, you ought to follow along just to read my thoughts every day, because I tend to make some jokes about the show that you probably get them, but I don't think the Bound arc is all that bad. It's just when you compare it to what you just had, it's not that good. So, yeah.
Yeah. And where can people read your thoughts on it?
TommyAPhillips.com, and click on the Anime Bowl 2 tab on the site.
Okay. I'm sorry. I should be reading these. I just keep forgetting to look at them. Most likely it'll probably be something like 200 episodes in, and then I'm going to be, okay, let's just marathon reading these. But yeah, the problem, unfortunately, the Bound arc, and this is really just an issue with filler in general, is the fact that since the whole point of it is to have stuff happen that does not affect anything, that's an inherent major constraint that tends to make things worse, especially because, again, the point isn't just to not have things matter. It's to not have things happen that don't matter, and also to use up as many episodes as you can. This is why it's nice. It's so many more anime are just saying, we maybe don't need to have a new episode every single week of the year. Maybe we can just, I don't know, have maybe 13 or 25 episodes and then go on break for a while and then come back, and then we won't have to do all this padding like One Piece or all this filler like Bleach or that sort of stuff. Like, it's what people have, I think one of the big reasons people have been, liking the final season of all three parts of it, of Bleach, so much, is the fact that before, even when they were doing canon stuff, they had to, they were kind of padding stuff out a bit to not catch up with the manga. But the manga's done, so they're like, hey, we can just go through stuff at a great pace now. And then everyone's like, yeah, hey, what do you know? Good pacing makes something better.
Yeah.
One day we'll get something for some form of the One Piece anime. I don't know whether it will be a actual new anime or if it will just be like a Dragon Ball Z Kai thing that will take all this overstuffed filler and just a padding and just get rid of it, and you'll actually end up with something paced well and everyone will be saying, wow, this is way better.
Yeah, did you notice how they showed the scene of Law crying hysterically like twice in the episode? Like they kept on showing him, and it was like okay, we got the message the first time. He was really upset. We don't need to see him do it again. And it was kind of like that scene where we saw 100 times, where it was like Robin saying, "I want to live," and they showed that like 100 times, and that's what they've been showing. They've been showing this Law scene where he's crying, crying, and crying, and yeah.
Okay. Oh, that reminds me, there was one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot. I think last week I was mentioning that I didn't know how old Law was in the flashback. So in this episode, he mentions that the Corazon, all that stuff happened 13 years ago. And I looked it up and he's 26 now. So that puts him at 13 at that point. So mystery solved, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So in regards to anime, for people actually watching along with us, we are done with Blue Lock now. So we're going to be bringing in another series, but because we're going to be a bit more busy next week, we'll be cutting down a little on how many we watch. So we're going to be watching we're going to be getting back into ReZero. The part of the third season has been airing, and now that we've got an open slot, we can check it out. So for next week, we'll just be watching one episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, Shangri-La Frontier, Hyouka, and ReZero. To make it clear, when I say one episode, I mean one episode of each series. We're not just watching one episode that is a conglomeration of all of those series somehow. My words were confusing, I realize. Okay, that's everything with anime. So I did actually remember to watch The Amazing Race this time. So so I don't know if you had if you wanted to discuss it or anything.
Yeah, this season's been kind of boring so far, I think. The challenges haven't been all that interesting, and they're getting to be Survivor now, where they have to keep on adding twist after twist after twist. And now they got this intersection where, it ends up hurting someone. But then the thing that bothers me the most about Amazing Race is that anytime they show someone struggling, then goes to commercial break, then immediately out of the commercial break, they figure it out. And it's like, so every time I see that happen, I'm like, okay, we know what's coming next. And it always happens that way. So, yeah, I honestly, I don't really pay attention to it as much as I do Survivor, because it's not as good, but, yeah, the sumo wrestling thing was kind of funny. That was entertaining. I liked that part. None of the teams have stood out to me, so for me, it's like I don't know who's winning, who's losing. I really don't care, because I don't even. They haven't done a good job at getting us well acquainted with the teams, I think.
Okay. Yeah, which is I'll take your word for this because I only saw this episode. I missed the first one, so you'd be able to say this better than me. Which is a little weird because these episodes they're an hour and a half. They're sticking with that. It's not just 1 hour like they used to be back in the day.
Right.
Which honestly I sometimes think might be hurting it. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's some problems with the season itself, but it felt to me like the episodes were better paced back when they were 1 hour each, whereas this new 1.5 hour format often seems to not do as much for me. So maybe maybe the seasons just aren't as well, produced or edited regardless, but it might legitimately be that, you want it to be a bit faster so that, for better pacing purposes.
Oh, I definitely agree. It's the episodes are too long. Like Survivor is 90 minutes and Amazing Race is 90 minutes, and I just don't have a long enough attention span to watch both of them. I'm just like, I can't watch 3 hours straight without needing a distraction. So yeah, I don't have the attention span for it anymore. So yeah, that's the bad thing. I was hoping that with the extra time, they'd be able to get us acquainted with the teams a little better, but it doesn't really seem that way. The teams kind of just blend into each other. I can't even tell who's on what team, especially not during this intersection thing. So yeah, that's a problem. And it seems that everyone old is going to get eliminated early on, and the younger teams will be the ones standing at the end. So yeah,
that's to be fair. I think pretty much every season, whenever there's whenever there's like an old person, they never really seem to do that well. And I feel like there's got to be. I mean, honestly, there probably are some seasons where an old person actually did do pretty well and I'm forgetting about it. But it just seems so frequently that, if you have a team that's like one old person or even two, that they're always going to be in worse physical shape than the rest. So, and that drags him down.
Yeah.
I remember one season a long time ago. I can't remember the specifics, but there was a team. There was this one guy and his grandfather, and the grandfather was really definitely kind of dragging the team down quite. I feel from what I remember. Maybe I'm misremembering these things, and I was thinking, yeah, if it had just been the other guy and another young guy, it might have worked better. You really gotta. There's so much physical stuff. There are older people who are in super great shape still. They just need to like pick a team that's just like two old people that are like, in that like really good bracket and not like. Well, I don't want to say that to old people on the show. I mean, they're clearly generally in pretty good shape, but I just mean, some of the really older ones. I don't know. Just generally seems to be.
Oh, there were a couple older ones who won a few seasons ago. Remember, there was that one team who were like YouTube stars, and they were the oldest team to ever win the Amazing Race. That happened a few seasons ago. So Kim and Penn.
Okay, there. Yeah, 48 and 50. Yeah, that's the oldest team, but I was thinking more about even they're the oldest team, but they're still like not quite as old as some of the ones here. What's the oldest one? Oh, well, oh wait, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong season with what I was thinking of. So let me actually pull back the right one. Yeah, like the old. Or the older ones are like, there's I'm looking at this list. There's 4 people here that are in their 60s. Well, there's 2 that are in their 60s because 2 of those already got eliminated. So that's what I'm talking about. When you're just like, when you're at 48 and 50, yeah, that's on the older side, but it's the people in the 60s. I kind of want to see someone in their 60s be just in crazy good shape and, do well. Maybe I need to get around to doing. I need to like buckle down and do more exercise. So when I'm in my 60s, I'll at least be okay. I'm not going to be like in great shape, I'm sure, but I could be a little better. All right, so yep, not really much else to say about that. Don't know if anyone who listens actually cared about that, but if you got bored, you could always just skip out on it, I suppose. And that's it, I guess. So we'll see you next week for the more of the Toonami coverage and also the rest of our stuff. And without further ado, I'll say we'll see you next week.
Bye.
There is only one hope for the people of Yorubaland. The Chosen.
My name is Iyanu.
I thought the Chosen would be taller.
She must prove herself.
As the Chosen, you have a trinity of powers. Trust your instincts. This is what I have been training you for.
For a chance to save her people.
How was that?
Iyanu, new series. Premieres Saturday, April 5th at 9:30 on your Cartoon Network.
Drivers in the world are back on the track.
The drivers are ready.
The battle to beat the evil racing drones is pushing their skills to the limit.
Accelerate! Go!
Just how they like it.
Let's do it.
Hot Wheels Acceleracers. The speed of silence. Next Saturday at 6:30. Drop the hammer. Only Toonami.